Hello there, Patreons, or more specifically, the guys that are watching this for free. Okay, now. Yeah, I just thought I'd release a free Patreon podcast to the public just to give you an idea of what the videos are like or what the podcasts are like, and then maybe if it intrigues you to maybe sign up to Patreon, why not? Admittedly, the additional content is for the $4.99 tier, but yeah, so if you like additional content from myself and Jason, well, me, then why not consider it? Basically, it's just like with all the YouTube members videos, it's about you, not about me, because I couldn't care less about me. So, after last night's game, I was thinking to myself this morning about moving into the double game week and how many players I'm going to have, and essentially I'm going to have 8. I'm going to have 8 double game week players. I'm not going to be putting my team up on screen as of yet. My plan is pretty much going to be what I'm thinking right now of not having to take a hit for the build up into double game week 25. I don't feel the need to do any hits whatsoever. I think that me missing out on one particular player isn't going to punish me enough where I feel that the other players that I'm going to be keeping are going to have a negative scoreline to the point of where, for argument's sake, where it's like Foden last night when he scored a hat-trick. There are some people that benched him, there are some people that sold him. The players that I'm thinking of bringing in and removing, to be completely frank, I think they're going to be about as equal score. There's one player that I think maybe could, in fact, to hell with it, is a very good captaincy option this week and could easily get a double-digit score. But truth be told, I don't personally feel the need with my team to directly bring that player in until double game week 25, so I can hold off this particular game week in game week 24, where my team is looking okay. It's looking all right. I mean, the team up on screen is actually top spot in the Trophy League, and we'll get onto that in a minute, because interestingly enough, with the Trophy League, essentially there are some teams that are pretty screwed when it comes to the double game week. They have to, if they're really, really wanting to attack the double game week, they're in a pretty poor position. Firetog, to name one. I don't think Firetog has, I think he's only got 4 players, I think. Let's have a look here for Firetog's team. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. Got 4 double game week players. I would say the average is going to be, I'm talking about like die-hard players, I think the average is going to be at least 6 or 7. So Firetog's already down by 2. I'm just going to quickly look here now regarding his transfers to see if he did one this week. He did. So he hasn't even got a free transfer. He doesn't have a free transfer. Well, sorry, he doesn't have 2 free transfers. So unless he, which I'm assuming he's going to save for this week, he'll have 2 free transfers to double game week 25, which in turn means that he'll do probably a -4 to remove the likes of Bowen, Cunha potentially, and potentially Poro. And that will give him 5, 6, 7. That'll give him 7 players for the double game week. That's if he's wanting to do it, of course. But with Ben's team up on screen at the moment, he is an individual who's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got 8 double game week players. He doesn't need to do anything with his team moving into double game week 25. If you look at his team here, he's got Doherty and Tony and Allison on the bench. So essentially, Ben, every time I hear the name Ben, I just do that from extras. Ben? Sorry, who are you? Oh, that's right. I don't give a shit. All right, mate. She's just defending Goran over there. And who are you? Nobody. That's right. You're a nobody. Who am I? Either Starsky or Hutch. I can never remember. Was that supposed to be funny? I don't know. You were in it. That joke is genius. Genius. But yeah, Ben is set up perfectly. The only downside to Ben's team is that when it comes to the blank game week, he's got Tony, Estupinan, Watkins, Alvarez. He then has well, he hasn't got any of these. Chelsea ain't playing, are they? No, Chelsea ain't playing. So yeah, Moreno, and Leno. And this is the thing, you see. So in that blank game week for 26, Ben is potentially screwed. So Tony, Estupinan, Watkins, Alvarez, De Bruyne, Foden, Moreno, and Leno. Okay, he's got 8. To be fair, actually, that I keep forgetting City are playing in that blank. So the one thing I keep forgetting about is that City are playing in the blank game week. But certainly looking at the trophy league and looking at the top 4 and how it's doing at the moment, you've got Ben that is 9 points ahead of Firetog. Lewis Allen sadly dropped down. He had a bit of a stinker this week. 300. He was top spot, and now he's dropped down. He's now 19 points behind. 19 points behind top spot. Again, a team which, on paper, is looking pretty good for the double game week, but it's the blank. It's how people are treating the blank. For me, I think it doesn't look particularly profitable. He's got the likes of Dubravka, Estupinan, Cash, but he doesn't play, does he? So Dubravka, Estupinan, Foden, Solanke, Haaland, Alvarez, Kirkez, who clearly doesn't play, Saka. That's 8. So for the blank game week, a lot of people seem to be, again, the die-hard FPL players seem to be having a give or take 8 or 9 blank game weekers for that particular fixture in game week 26. But I look at it, I just go, the fixtures are crap. Aston Villa at home to Nottingham Forest, not too bad. To be fair, Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa ain't too bad. Still, pretty difficult and whatnot, but it's nowhere near to the extent of, say, Aston Villa at home to Man City or some nonsense like that. And here's a 100-point team here with Patrick. But yeah, you've got the Brighton at home to Everton. God, there's a clean sheet in there for somebody. Crystal Palace at home to Burnley. Awful game. Man United against Fulham. That's not too bad. That's pretty good, actually. Bournemouth at home to Man City. Well, we've all got 3 City. Arsenal at home to Newcastle. Saka, most people have got. And then Wolves at home to Sheffield United. And West Ham against Brentford. Captaincy option wise, who's there? Well, stating the obvious, Haaland / De Bruyne. Højlund versus Fulham for Man United. I think they're the 3, really. I can't really see many batterings. Maybe Wolves at home to Sheffield United could be a bit of fun for Wolves assets. Man City away at Bournemouth, I can already see that being 3-1, 4-1, something like that. Arsenal at home to Newcastle, that'd be a good game. But yeah, Patrick Corbett, he's 100 points this game week. And in the overall ranking system, so he's 4th in the Trophy League. Bearing in mind the Trophy League didn't start until game week 21. Overall rank, he's 297th. How has this happened? An Elite FPL member being that high up in the world is just absurd. Absolutely absurd. But everything went right for him, and he also captained, in my opinion, the best player this game week. In the sense of, like, I think that De Bruyne was probably the better asset to be captain in this game week, but Martinez in goal, Trent, Trippier, Porro, Saka, De Bruyne captain, Foden, Richarlison, Palmer, Watkins, Alvarez. And then for double game week, he's got Trent, De Bruyne, Foden, Alvarez. He's got 4. He's got 4 players that, unfortunately, 4 players that he's got as it stands right this second for the double game week. He did have Palmer coming off the bench for Isaac, would you believe? And for the blank game week, he's got Martinez, Trippier, Foden, De Bruyne, Saka, Watkins, Alvarez. And then you can technically count Isaac and Senesi, so that's 9. 9 blank game week players that he's got. 297th in the world, and again, a player that just, when it comes to the double game week, I don't know what Patrick is doing. So if we look at his transfer history, he didn't make a transfer this week, so basically he's got 2 free transfers going into game week 24, where he can easily bring in a double game week player, for argument's sake, Jota, just for argument's sake. Although, if I'm honest, with Patrick here, I would seriously take a punt on maybe getting in Van Dijk. I'm being absolutely serious. You've got 2.2 in the bank, and you could bring in Van Dijk for, I don't know, could you bring him in for Bulldog? I think you probably can. Because, you can't. Oh, that's a shame. It would have to be Porro then. But that means then you've got an extra Liverpool player for the double game week in 25. You've then got an extra transfer to bring in another Liverpool player if you want. You then have 2 defenders against teams in which, well, let's just put it this way. I envisaged Van Dijk, or certainly a defender. Oh no, Konate can't play, can he? So certainly Van Dijk or one of the centre backs scoring from a set piece. I do expect us to concede a couple of set piece goals. I think any set piece takers, i.e. Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, McAllister, they could have a field day against us, Burnley, on Saturday. Like I said, I'm predicting 4 or 5-0. But Van Dijk could be the one for Porro. Don't worry about the Brighton game. Or I'm assuming Patrick is then potentially thinking Isaac out for Darwin. But I think you can save, and to be completely frank, I think you can save that move for this week. In fact, this is the advice. In fact, here's some actual advice for you, Patrick, if you even bother listening to anything I'd say. Pour out for Van Dijk this week. Or, yeah, I think Porro out for Van Dijk this week. And then the following week, Isaac out for Darwin, or vice versa. In fact, yeah, maybe vice versa. Maybe Darwin in for Isaac this week. Bench Palmer. Or even bench Alvarez. Maybe even bench Alvarez this week and then play your 3-5-2. Because you're going to be wanting to play Palmer against Crystal Palace because of the amount of people that are going to be having him in and around your area of being 297th. So that in turn means that, yeah, getting in Darwin for Isaac, play him, and I'm being serious, you could potentially seriously captain him, because then for double game week 25 you'll then have Van Dijk, Trent and Darwin. for their games against Brentford and Luton. 2 very good fixtures. You've then got the 3 Man City assets in Alvarez, Kevin De Bruyne and Foden for their games against Brentford and Chelsea. You've got no Brentford, which you don't need to worry about. I really wouldn't be worried about not owning any Brentford. So yeah, you're in a really good spot here. Now, admittedly, it means that when it comes round to blank game week 26, you haven't got Isaac anymore. But hey, they're away at Arsenal. I wouldn't worry about it. You could then bring in, potentially, if you really, really want to, Højlund, if you really want to, for the game against Fulham, replacing Darwin. So you could genuinely replace Darwin with Højlund, still for free, which then means that you've then got Senesi, Højlund, Watkins, Alvarez, Foden, De Bruyne, Saka, Trippier, and Martinez, which gives you 9. You've got 9 blank game week players, which I think is within reason fine. I know Senesi's going to be up against Man City, but don't worry about it. And yeah, I think you're onto a real winner with this team, and I think that maybe if you play it right, yeah, you could be moving into that top 100, and then of course we get round to game week 27, and maybe you could take Højlund out again and bring back Darwin again, for argument's sake. So it's kind of like a bit of the merry-go-round for yourself, but it could pay off, that particular strategy. So just to remind you, that strategy being this game week 24, Isaac out for Darwin, or Porro out for Van Dijk, but I think you don't need to worry about that. I think just do Isaac out for Darwin. That's done. And then the following game week, you still got 2 free transfers, and then it's up to you. Yeah, at that point, you then take out Porro for Van Dijk, which gives you 6 double game week players, and you've still got another free transfer. So then when you get into blank game week 26, you've got 2 free transfers where you can play around with whatever. And then even if you use 1 free transfer in game week 26, gets to game week 27, and then you've still got 2 free transfers. So you're playing a blinder. You're genuinely playing a blinder. In fact, in blank game week 26, what did I say? Take out Darwin for Højlund. Maybe even captain Højlund. But I think you're potentially onto a winner here. Jason, on the other hand, though, Jason is his team's struggling. To be completely frank, it's not looking. It's from a blank game week point of view, from a injury point of view. I know he's got Richarlison, but he's blanking in the blank. So, as it stands right this second, I believe Jason's only got, I think, 4 double game week players, I think. Let's have a look here. So he's got Trent Alexander-Arnold, De Bruyne, Foden, Haaland. Yeah, that's it. He's got 4. He's got no free transfers. He brought in, was it Richarlison for Gordon? Then when it comes to blank game week 26, he's got Dubravka, Saliba, Foden, De Bruyne, Haaland, Solanke, Watkins, Saka. So he's actually, to be fair, credit where credit's due, he's got 8 players for the blank. As it stands right this second, he's got 8 players for the blank. But he's only got 4 double game week players. And he's already done his transfer this week. So he's going to be going into this specific game week 24, with Trent, Saliba and Porro as his defenders. De Bruyne, Foden, Richarlison, well, Palmer, I'm guessing. But then he's got to play Saka. So then who does he sacrifice for Haaland, Solanke and Watkins? Solanke's away at Fulham. You do not bench Solanke away at Fulham. Watkins at home to Man United, you can forget it. Although, ironically, I'm tempted to bench Watkins. Against Man United. I can see that being the old 0-0, 1-0 Aston Villa, 2-1 Aston Villa, or even 2-0. It's going to be a very tough afternoon for Man United. I really do. I say that, essentially, I can see it being a low-scoring game, and actually, Man United may nick it 1-0. Genuinely. That game is going to be horrible. And I think I could do a Dread FPL. I may have the cojones to potentially bench Watkins against Man United. I may have the cojones to do it. As it stands, though, he's in my team as it stands right this second. But yeah, for Jason, going into double game week 25, he's got 4 double game week players who I've just mentioned. How many additionals does he want? Does he want more Liverpool? Every time I do that, it's just literally City and McKellen. How do I know what to say? The words are written down. Ridiculous. But there's a small chance, a very small chance, that Jason may wildcard. The problem is, though, if Jason wildcards, he has to consider the blank 26, because at the moment he's actually in a very strong... Ironically, he's in a strong position for game week 26, for blank game week 26. He's in a very strong position. Because like I said, he's got eight players as it stands right this second, playing in that blank. But then if he chooses now to go into double game week 25 with 4 double game week players, that's nothing wrong with that. He's got... In fact... I'd argue he's got 4 of the best players to have in Trent, De Bruyne, Foden and Haaland. That is like Terminator. That is Terminator mode for double game week 25. Because he's already brought in Richarlison this specific game because he mentioned the other day. So he's going to be at home to Brighton. And yeah, if Jason decides to attack double game week 25... Who's he wanting to bring in? Well, I know he's mentioned Jota. That's one example. Is he going to be wanting to bring in Tony? That's 2. Who's he going to sacrifice for these people? You can't get rid of Haaland. You can't get rid of... I mean, you can. In game week 25, you can get rid of Solanke. But then you're replacing Solanke with... The only player I can think of right now is... I say that, he can't. Oh, he can. Oh, fucking arsehole. He said he had that Zach money in the bank. Let me just check this for a second. If this particular player has gone up, I don't think they've gone up to 8.2. I'm sure they haven't gone up to 8.2. Fucking arsehole. They haven't. Knowing Jason's like this tosser is going to stay at 8.1. Alright, Steve-O, calm down. But there's a particular player that Jason could actually bring in. But you'd have to do it now, like, as in today. But it would mean getting rid of a blank player to bring in a blank player. And what I mean by that is a playing player in blank game week 25, 26, for another blank game week player in 26. So it is going to be really interesting to see what Jason does approaching the double game week 25. Is he really wanting the Liverpool? Is he really wanting Brentford? Is he really wanting Luton? Well, we can discount Luton. He ain't fucking going to be getting any Luton players in. Liverpool is probably the one that's going to be the biggest worry for him, because a lot of people, whether it's myself or whether it's various other rivals of Jason's, really a lot are going to have Jota. A lot are going to have 3 Liverpool players. So if Jason can be bothered, he really can lose some serious ground if he allows it to. But like I said, but then on the upside, going into blank game week 26, he's got some good players. He's got some good players with the likes of... I mean, my biggest issue with my team is I've got no Arsenal. And Arsenal are going to be highly covered over the next several fixtures. And I've worked out that, this week I've already done my 2 free transfers. They're done. And I'm not doing any more. Double game week 25, I'm immediately doing 1 player out for another double game weeker, which in turn means the following deadline day, which is going to be for game week 27 on Saturday the 2nd of March. What am I talking about? For blank game week 26, for Saturday the 24th of February, which is in the afternoon, I then have a choice of who personally I want to be getting rid of that's blanking, but I can go, do you know what? I don't mind actually removing that individual from my team. Because they've done whatever they needed to do in double game week 25. Moving forward with them, I don't think I'm going to need them. So maybe I can sacrifice the lamb, so to speak, and be able to bring in, like I said, off the top of my head right now, Man United's fixture against Fulham is looking good, but it just means that I'd be getting rid of a blank game weeker for a blank game weeker, which is just... That is madness, so I can't even do that move. Maybe bring in Fernandes. I don't know. But certainly it's a very, very interesting next few weeks. And this is, as I keep stating, when it comes to me personally, when it comes to me and my way of playing FPL, not even way of playing FPL, but how FPL goes for me is every single season it's start off shit and then the second half of the season I do okay. And I've always made this point, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that I'm going to be anywhere near the top 50k. In fact, I'd be lucky to be anywhere near the top 100k. I think if I actually approached the first half of the season like I do the second half of the season, I think I'd probably be around about, let's just say 700,000th right now. Maybe 600th at a push. I wouldn't be competing with the freaks of nature that we have with the Elite FPL community, but certainly it's the foundations, isn't it? With fantasy football, the first half of the season, it's like just get those points in, build the foundations of the building. And then in the second half, there's the foundations, it's already sorted. Now we can start putting the roof on and building the with inside the house itself, building the rooms and whatnot. Ridiculous analogy, but certainly from my personal standpoint, I feel that over the next several game weeks, with the various double game weeks coming into play, I mean even blank game week 29, which is just horrendous. It is essentially going to be, Fulham, Burnley versus Brentford, Fulham Spurs. As it stands right now, that's it. Fulham versus Spurs and Burnley versus Brentford. Well, I've got Tony, I've got Porro, and I've got Richarlison. That's 3 players. What's the belief again? If Chelsea lose tonight, then Chelsea are away at Arsenal. So the Arsenal fixture would happen. Well, do I really need to free hit for game week 29. No, you can forget it. So I'm going to be wanting to have, well, certainly an Arsenal player. What, Saka? Yeah. I'll already have Palmer. Burnley, Brentford, I've got Tony. I'm not even touching Burnley with a barge pole. The relegated Burnley, by the way. So that's 3. And like I said, Spurs, I've got Porro and Richarlison. Well, by which point, Son's going to be back. We're probably going to have more information on Salah, because that's another thing you've got to think about. The likes of Son and Salah are coming back. And this is going to be almost impossible trying to fit these players in, especially when you've got the likes of Man City now turning up. What I will say, and this is my honest belief, if you got Haaland, or sorry, more specifically, if you don't own Haaland, I really don't think you need to get him. Rupert, aka Semi-Casual, he made the point at the start of the season he doesn't think Haaland's going to be as, shall we say, much of a threat as he was last season. Do you know what? I think, in my opinion, he's been proven right. Yes, all right, he scored X amount of goals, but who wouldn't in that team? Look at Foden yesterday. He scored a hat-trick. Haaland did nothing. He got a poxy assist. De Bruyne was everything. The one player that I am personally in desperate need for, it's just me personally, it is De Bruyne. He is outstanding. How the hell do I get him in my team? The only way I can get him in my team is sacrificing Haaland. And then, of course, it's then jumping on to which striker I feel is worthy of being in my team. Is it Darwin? Is it Cunha? Is it Solanke? Is it Højlund? I don't know, but I just don't think, for me, watching, I know it was his first game back, I get it. And then we've got the Everton game on Saturday. I just don't think that having Haaland in the team is worth it. I'd rather have De Bruyne or Salah for definite. De Bruyne, well, preferably both, but De Bruyne and Salah for definite I would like to have as the premiums in my team. And then maybe Son, but we'll have to come to that another day. Anyway, let's get the hell out of here. I really do appreciate anybody watching this. Like I said, this is a Patreon style video, so if you like this kind of content, by all means, why not sign up for it and get personalised videos for yourself. As I always say, whenever the people comment on their Patreon videos and whatnot, I like responding to what these guys have to say, even though ironically not many people write comments on the Patreon. I don't understand why. On the YouTube videos there were hundreds of comments. Now it's on Patreon. You're lucky to get one. Anyway, cheers everybody, and yeah, even if you don't enjoy this, want to be a Patreon, why not just hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps the channel. It really does.